I'm stuck in my job and I feel the need to get away. Speeding down a river or sailing out over the bay. Gonna jump in my boat and go as far as I can get. Out on the water, come on, now we are gonna get wet. Ever don't leave.
G'day and welcome to On the Water. Do we have a cracker of a season lined up for you? We're going to take you to 4 continents. We're going to take you to North America, South America, of course, Australia, and the big white southern continent, Antarctica. We're going to check out, in this show, the Queensland state titles for the Etchells One Design class. But we're going to heat it up straight away with the V8 superboats out of Melton. So, strap on your life jacket and get set to get wet. G'day, here we are down at McPherson Park in Melton for the V8 Jet Sprint Boat Spectacular. There is no doubt about it, these boats are absolutely flat out. 100 kilometres an hour plus, they'll pull up to 4.5 Gs into the top corners. The men and women that drive these boats have absolute nerves of steel. They're running around in about 1 metre deep water and not much wider than that. Their skills are absolutely sharp, so let's check out the action.
This event is the final hit out in preparation for the Continental Tires V8 Superboat Series.
On a sunny, warm November day at the Melton V8 Superboat facility, the crowds were starting to gather. People were coming in ready for some hardcore V8 Superboat racing action. The conditions were perfect and the crews were starting to get these high performance and high powered racing machines ready for the day's action. As the drivers hit the starter buttons on their high-performance racing V8 engines and sent the jet units pumping masses of spray into the air, we'll take you for a ride inside the cockpit of a V8 Superboat. Okay, accelerating up out of the start area now, the jet unit pumping around about 10,000 litres per minute now as the boat accelerates up to around about 115 k's an hour, pulling 4 Gs up through that top turn. You can see the driver and navigator's eyes will be bouncing in their heads at the moment. Have a look at the water conditions now starting to chop up as the boat comes back through onto its own wash. This is where the driver and navigator will be looking for a spot to take a little bit of a break. The 4G forces on these guys really working hard on them at the moment. And there's a nice smooth straight. That's a chance to take a deep breath and have another go at it. Now back into it again, some more rough water. Very important you don't clip any of the tyres on the edge there, sending the boat spinning off into the dirt. This is a hard and fast run now as we come through the centre of the course again. These guys really pushing hard, and that is a lap of the V8 Superboat course at Melton. With 3 categories of V8 Superboat, of course the top category, the Superboats, they're moving down into the Group A 400 category, but the 350 category is the entry-level class. Strong competition and big fields are in this particular class. And into the final, the Liquid Rush machine made it in twice with its A crew and its B crew. Glenn Roberts and Scott Roberts, the 2 brothers. The other boat that made it into the final was the Red Raw machine with Mark Garlick behind the wheel. Plenty of action in the 350 category as the Predator machine clipped the bank and Shane and Lee Allen were thrown up into a barrel roll, landing and bursting into flames. Fortunately, the safety systems on board the boat and the safety crews were able to get the boys out of the boat and they went on to race another day. As the day panned out in the Group A 400 cubic inch category, racing was hard and fast, and the times were very, very quick indeed. All these competitors wanted to push very, very hard and try and put their boats into the final at this prestigious Melton event. Driver of the machine, Black Betty, Greg Harriman, who is the president of the Australian Formula Jet Sprint Association, had a solid performance but not quick enough to get into the finals this weekend. Greg Mercier in his As You Do machine, who is constantly in the top 8 positions at every race meeting in the country, slotted into 10th spot, not quite good enough to get into the finals today. Kevin Laugenson, the 49-year-old mechanic piloting the Silver Bullet machine, had a fantastic run in this 23-boat field, putting the boat right up into 8th position. So confused pilot Rodney Krause, who always has a winning or swimming policy, pushed very hard and put the boat right up into 7th spot. Just over 1 second away from getting into the final, Ted Sidgertis did a fantastic job in the Triple X racing machine. As the big end of town in the Group A category started to hit the water, the Mexican went out with Kenny Kesper doing the piloting duties, and unfortunately only fractions of seconds keeping this team out of the finals. The immensely experienced teenage driver Brooke Dixon in the True Blue 2 racing machine, normally a competitive runner, disappointed to not make the finals this time. And at the end of a long, hard day with plenty of hard and fast racing, the 3 boats make it into the finals of the Group A category, where Triple X Racing with Fonzie Mullen behind the wheel. Another competitive runner all weekend, of course, Slade Stanley in the Hazardous machine, and rounding out the final was the Doan Racing machine with Mr. Doan himself, Rowan Smith. Let's take a short break in the racing and head down to the pits, where the caveman is having a look at some of the safety systems in these V8 superboats.
Okay, what we're looking at here is a super safe system. The idea is to keep the drivers and the navigator as safe as absolutely possible. We're looking at a 5-point safety harness. 2 over the shoulders, 2 around the hips, 1 between the legs. If we end up upside down, we're going to be strapped and bolted into this seat. Less movement, less injuries. It's got a simple, quick release system that you pull, and as soon as you pull it, it undoes all 5 points for a quick exit out of the boat in case of an emergency. Obviously, the guys and the girls are wearing fireproof suits, neck braces, helmets, balaclavas and gloves to protect them in case of fire.
Back onto the race course, and it's time for the big bangers of jet sprint racing to come out and play. The methanol-sucking superboats, these fire-breathing monsters, accelerating from 0 to 100 kilometres an hour in less than 3 seconds. In this very competitive and hard-charging category, Jim Bailey, Louise Dixon, who of course is Phil Dixon's wife, sharing the boat, and Paul Burgess were unable to make the cut and put the boats into the final. Tony Gustosi had obviously done plenty of hard work in the workshop before this particular event, putting the Excalibur machine into the final with his A team and his B team. Tony, of course, driving with the A team, and Mick Carroll in the B team. They were going to be up against the brand new, more True Blue machine piloted by the experienced campaigner Phil Dixon. With the finalists decided, crews made the last preparations before these boats went out onto the racecourse, because the last race is their last chance to dance. It's finals time.
We'll let you catch your breath, and we'll let the water settle at the Melton facility. We'll be back with more V8 superboats a little bit later in the show. But after the break, we're going to head up to the Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron and check out the one design yacht class, the Etchells.